would first call Mr. Samuels as a witness.
Mr. Samuels, you can keep your seat, sir. Promise to tell the truth?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Always tell the truth.
Thank you, sir. You're on the road.
Would you say your name for the record, please, sir?
Donald Eugene Samuels,
What is your education?
high school education, 1 year of college,
And what is your occupation?
retired.
And the witness, copy of the court order, copies for other parties. Sir, I'll hand you what's been marked Plaintiff's Exhibit A, pages 1 through 12. Have you seen that document before?
If I have, I don't recall it, I don't even know what it is.
I'll represent to you that's the status order filed by the court with the clerk on July 30th of 2015.
Okay.
Do you get the pleadings in this case?
I don't know what you're talking about, what is a pleading? I get the electronic stuff on my computer, and sometimes I look at them, and some of them I printed, and some of them I hadn't. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So
But
you,
as far as I know, I've got them all. Now, sometimes my computer don't work well enough for me to print them off, and sometimes I don't print them off, so.
well, I was noticing in the court order, if you look on page 2, at the last paragraph, the parties are instructed. You see that paragraph?
Yes.
And the last part of that paragraph says you're supposed to follow the rules of civil procedure and sign your pleadings. You see that? Provide certificates of service.
Yes, I do.
Have you seen that before?
That's the first time I've ever read that, yeah.
So you've not been reading the court's orders in this case?
Well, I try to read them all, but no, I don't. The first time I ever saw anything or heard anything about this was when you was complaining about us not signing them. And I wouldn't even know how to go on the computer and sign one of these things if I had filed a motion, by myself personally. And, just like I've told you before, hell, I don't even have an iPhone. I just got an old flip phone. I'm very ignorant when it comes to all this stuff. And I think you're a very genius man to realize that the other day you put on one of these things that Mr. Kuhlman and Mr. Samuels didn't know what they were doing. And I thought that was genius.
What's been marked as Exhibit D as in David, pages 1 through 20. Take a look at Exhibit D, please.
Exhibit D. Is that what this is?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
You see at the very bottom, if I may approach the witness, Your Honor.
Oh, okay, I see it.
At the very bottom, it says
Okay.
Exhibit D.
Okay. Okay.
And you note the pages are numbered at the bottom right by the Exhibit D.
Yep, I finally figured that out. Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay, have you seen those documents in Exhibit D?
Now, you want me to go through this whole thing? Is that
Yes,
what
I
you're
do,
asking me
please.
to? Well, it's gonna take a while.
That's okay.
As far as I can recall, I've seen every one of those, yes.
Did you see them before they were filed or after they were filed?
Well, I don't see them until after they're filed. I mean, I don't,
So it's, to be clear, pages 1 through 20 that's in your hand, Exhibit D, you saw each of those for the first time after they were filed with the clerk of court, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Would it be fair to say that you did not file any of those documents on Exhibit D, pages 1 through 20?
That's correct.
Would it be fair to say that all of those were filed by Henry Kuhlman,
Yes.
pages 1 through 20?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that...
Excuse me, Your Honor. I object to Mr. Kuhlman conferring with the witness during his testimony.
Good point, sir. Noted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would it be fair to say that Exhibit D, pages 1 through 20, were all signed by Henry Kuhlman?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that you did not draft any one of pages 1 through 20 of Exhibit D?
That's true.
Would it be fair to say that you didn't even help draft pages 1 through 20 of Exhibit D?
Yes. I can say that I would get an email about these things from Mr. Kuhlman.
Admitted, is it marked for ignition, Mr. Harris?
It's marked as an exhibit on the very bottom.
Admitted.
All right, what emails did you get from Mr. Kuhlman? You were volunteering that information.
Yeah, I'll get an email, about some of this stuff, about how he was going to put it and everything. I agreed or not agreed.
And when would you get those emails?
I'd get them before the file.
I thought you just said you didn't see anything before you filed.
I did not see the motion. That's what you asked me.
Do you still have those emails?
Oh, God. I don't know. I do a lot of, I'm not very computer literate, I can tell you that right now.
You would still have the same computer, wouldn't you?
Yeah, just my grandson.
Okay. I would ask that you not further delete information from that computer regarding this litigation. Similarly, Mr. Samuels, do you recognize documents that have been handed to you as Exhibit C, pages 1 through 24?
I don't know about that one right there.
What page number, sir?
Page 7 and 8. I don't know about that one. Because the way I see that in right there, that I filed this motion. Is that right?
That's what we're here to discover.
Well, I've never filed a motion. So that one there, I don't know about that.
And that, are you referring to pages 7 and 8
Yeah,
of Exhibit C?
yeah.
Okay. Are there any others in?
Well, I hadn't gone through them all yet.
Okay. Do you recognize exhibits
So,
21 to 24 of Exhibit C.
You're talking about pages 19 and 20?
We'll talk about 19 and 20. Do you recognize those pages?
Well, that's what I was just talking about.
Okay.
You were looking at another, I'm past the plaintiff's motion for extension of time to be denied, I'm past that. I'm on 19 and 20, where I know that in the past, that we have failed to sign, or he has failed to sign, he was doing it on my behalf, well, that's for sure. To file a response, and you and probably some of these other guys have complained that we didn't file a response or didn't sign it. So I think there's been more than one time. So I can't say whether this is one of them or not.
On Exhibit C, pages 1 through 24, would it be fair to say that you did not prepare those documents?
Oh, that's fair to say. I didn't prepare them.
Did you see any of those documents before they were filed? Pages 1 through 24?
No, I didn't see them until they were filed, the actual motion. How would I do that?
I'm sorry, I'm asking you, who did prepare and file those documents?
Mr. Kuhlman did. He prepared them and filed
Did he send emails to you about those documents?
them. Sometimes he did.
Did he show you those documents in advance by email?
No, not the whole document, just maybe something to, this is an idea,
Would it be fair to say you did not sign pages 1 through 24 of any of the motions or filings?
That's true.
Would it be fair to say that Mr. Kuhlman did not sign either?
Well, I didn't see any signed pages on these, and that's probably what you guys were complaining so much about.
And these documents 1 through 24 were filed for you by Mr. Kuhlman?
Yes,
I would move admission of Exhibit
yes.
C, if I may approach.
Oh, you're acting like we're bar attorneys. We're not bar attorneys.
Next, I'm going to hand you Exhibit B as in boy. I'll represent to you, Mr. Samuels, that these filings were made before the court's order was entered about signature.
This was something that Mr. Kuhlman prepared as an answer to the complaint. It had nothing to do with you.
Well, that's what I was reading here. That's what I told him. It just says this is something that you did representing yourself.
This was an answer that Mr. Kuhlman completed to the complaint. That Mr. Kuhlman took the answer that Attorney Avalon prepared to the complaint, never having seen any of this before, and sat down over the course of 3 days with his wife and tried to duplicate the format and go through the complaint word for word and try to replicate the exact format legally and try to comply with the detail and do exactly what needed to be done, and spent an inordinate amount of time putting together the exhibits to comply and to support the answers to the complaint, which had absolutely nothing to do with you, Mr. Samuels. Would you agree with that?
I agree.
Do you have any idea why Attorney Harris would infer that you somehow were involved in some kind of a conspiracy with Mr. Kuhlman, or that Mr. Kuhlman was operating and putting your name on things and operating in the dark and using you and manipulating you and putting your name on things without your consent or your knowledge, Mr. Samuels?
Well, I feel that's exactly what he was doing.
Do you believe that you and I had conversations on the phone at appropriate times about these various matters? I would call you and tell you that there was a deadline coming up for a response or a filing or a motion or some order that was required, and that you and I would talk about having no idea what the heck we were doing.
That's
Do you
true.
remember that?
Yes.
And then we would talk about trying to figure out what format, and then we would, and I would tell you that I was going to go ahead and maybe use one of Mr. Harris's responses, and maybe copy some of his stuff. And then we would pull some of his stuff and some of Miss Avalon's stuff together and maybe do some kind of response.
Yes.
And then I would tell you that I would send you maybe an email of the content and see if that was okay with you. Maybe on one of these, it might have been an amended response, because on one of the first orders that the judge gave and wanted us to give them a list with specificity on what the request for public records that we made, how those records were different than the records requested by the state. And we replied was, we wanted all of the records that we were due under state statute 119. And the judge came back and said, this is not a hypothetical. You are ordered to say that you actually read the 95 pages, which we did not receive, and were admonished by Mr. Harris that he'd sent them to us.
Objection compound.
And then we
Okay.
is admitted and observed. And then we put together all of the lists and the amended response list of records that we had requested that were different than the state. And then I sent you an email, I believe, and we talked about all of the other stuff that we requested. And you didn't see the actual filing.
Right.
And then I do believe that we might have even requested an extension or something, I don't know. But did all of those things happen?
Yes.
And then you knew that I wasn't even going to be in Florida for some period of time, right?
Yes.
But we did the best that we could, is that right?
We have done the best that we could.
And you know that I'm not a lawyer.
Neither am I. You're not.
Did you ask to be sued, Mr. Samuels?
No,
Objection beyond scope.
Sustained.
I did not.
No further question.
Your name on it, does it not, sir?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So, in fact, there are documents in Exhibit B that Mr. Kuhlman filed on your behalf, correct?
Yes, apparently this is one of them.
Okay. And let's look at page 64.
Okay.
And that document was filed on your behalf by Mr. Kuhlman, correct?
Well, it's got my, I have to look, it's got my name on it.
And you indicated earlier you didn't file any documents in this case.
That's correct. I did not.
So, assuming this document came out of the court file, it would have been filed on your behalf by Mr. Kuhlman, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Were you relying on Mr. Kuhlman to file these documents on your behalf?
Yes.
Are you an attorney?
No.
Were you relying on Mr. Kuhlman to do whatever was necessary to file these legally with the court?
I relied on him to do it, and he kept me abreast of what was going on.
No further questions?
Yeah.